everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of This Is My Story, This Is My Song. I am Enosh Fee, your humble host, and I am so happy and glad that you are with us once again as we continue this journey talking about music and songwriting and fun stuff like that. We talk about the songs we like, we talk about the songs we don't like, we talk about our mistakes, we talk about our triumphs. You know, no big deal. You know, just come in and have a cup of coffee with me. You know, no big whoop. Come on, let's just do this thing, all right? Hey, it's good to have you with me once again here on the show. And this week is going to be a pretty cool thing. I'm going to be sharing a song with you in a couple minutes that I wrote, and we're going to talk about that. So it's going to be totally different than all the other shows that we've ever done here on Tim Stims. But no, seriously though, this song this week, we're going to be talking a lot more about songwriting, and it's kind of personal. So we're going to get a little bit more in depth. But first, you know, it feels like there's, I don't know, something that we're supposed to be doing right now. I mean, it feels like, hey guys, you're supposed to wait until I say it before you just put it out there. You know, they never answer back, you know. Anyways, I guess we already blew it, but it's time for the viewer of the week. Well, of course. Well, all right. Hey, you know, I have set some parameters, as it were, for our viewers of the week. And that is, if you respond to the show, and of course you can do that by emailing me, you can do that by going on This Is My Story, This Is My Song page on Facebook. You can also subscribe to the show on YouTube and leave a comment there. But if you do any of those things, well, you have opened yourself up to be our viewer of the week. And those are the rules. I'm sorry. If you contact me, you're going to be the viewer of the week probably at some point in time, and you're going to get free stuff from me. Just nothing we can do about that. But a couple of weeks ago, we did the song Living Water, and my beautiful wife Tiffany was here with me, and she did the show with me, and she's coming back, by the way. America, you voted, and she is coming back. So stay tuned for something like that. But we did that song, and I noticed while putting the show together and editing it that there were a couple of mistakes here and there in the episode. And so I put a little blurb at the end, just that if you saw a mistake, write to me and you get a prize. Well, somebody found one of the mistakes. There's actually about 3 or 4 mistakes in there. So it's still open, ladies and gentlemen. If you find a mistake in that show, email me, contact me, do something, because you too could win a free prize. But my good friend Richard got a hold of me, and he said, hey Enosh, I don't need a prize, I don't need any recognition, I found a mistake in the show, here's the mistake. And he just kind of went on. He talked a little bit about the show and some of his own personal feelings, and I thank you, Richard, for doing that. But I'm sorry, buddy, because when you do that, guess what? You get to be our viewer of the week. That's right. So, Richard, this week you are our viewer of the week, and you can look in your inbox because you get free cool stuff. You get a prize, man. You know, we have to legally. If we say we're going to give away a prize, we have to give it to you. So, yeah, sorry. So, thanks, Richard, for watching the show. I'm so glad. Richard is a musician. He actually has played with some good friends of mine, the people that I've played with before. And I am so glad that you are on this journey with me, buddy. And I hope to hear from you again with your comments and ideas about the show. Okay? So, with that being said, I think we'll just jump right into our show this week. Here we go. All right. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this week we're going to get a little bit more personal with this. It's not going to be so much just a kind of a Bible study and then a song. We're doing a song this week called Chosen. And this is a song that I never did anything with. I never played in a band with it, like in Antioch or Some Strange Way, or even now in Waking Vegas. I've never done anything with it. We've never played it live, never played it with a band. It was a song that when I got my first digital recorder and I started recording at home, it was a song that I strictly wrote and just recorded. You know, because you go through those time periods where you just write a lot of songs. And so I wrote this song at that time and recorded it all myself, did the drums and stuff. And it was funny because at the time I didn't have a lot of equipment, to do everything with. And I remember I recorded the drums. I had a live kit, pretty good Mapex kit actually. And I started recording, and I basically just put like an SM58 for the bass drum and kind of just some overheads and stuff, and just recorded it that way. And it's funny how good it actually turned out. I mean, it's not the greatest, drum sound ever. It's not revolutionizing recording in any way, but it was very primitive and just kind of raw. And that's what I liked about the recording when I was done with it. Is just, and it's cool because I did like 3 songs all together at that time, because I only had so much digital space on my recorder, and so they all kind of have that same sound to it. So it's pretty cool. But this week I want to talk about something that I think songwriters go through, and I think just pretty much in general we go through. There was a time in my musical career where I was very insecure with myself, with my talents, with sharing those with others. I could get on a stage, no problem, man. Play in the band, do solo stuff. I mean, I've been doing that since I was a kid. But I remember when I first started playing in a band, and it kind of started there, because I was always very confident when I was doing my own thing, right? But when I started my first band, and this is no slam at my friends who were in Antioch with me when I started, but I don't think that I was quite what they were hoping for in a singer and in a guitar player. I mean, I had been playing guitar for a couple years at that point. We started when I was 17, and I started playing guitar when I was 15. I wasn't a lead guitar player by any stretch of the imagination. I was just a rhythm guitar player, because all I really set out to do when I started playing guitar was to write music, was to write songs and sing. That's what I love to do. So I was kind of just the rhythm guitar player, which was fine because my friend Jeremy was more of a lead player than me, and he fit that role perfectly. But what I did was, my voice was more of a medium range, kind of voice. I grew up listening to artists like Carmen and other, kind of contemporary Christian artists, where everybody in the band, myself included, I mean, we all really loved, like, it was kind of the end phase of glam metal at the time, and we just kind of like that hard rock sound. I mean, you grew up listening to bands like, Guns N' Roses and Metallica, and those are kind of those rock bands and stuff. But, we listened to a lot of stuff with singers that just had these amazing high voices, and they could just hit these notes. I mean, John Schlitt from Petra, perfect example. When I was 11, I could hit those notes. By the time I was 17, it wasn't happening. So I think the guys in the band, they really were kind of hoping that when we put the band together, or they started a band, that they would kind of have that, because that's what we kind of wanted to be. And we were a hard rock group, we kind of played that style. We were always the rock band, right? So because I had more of a medium range, man, those first few years, and I listened to some of the recordings, man, and I'm screaming, and I watch videos of the old school stuff, and I'm screaming my lungs out, trying to get these things out, because we wrote songs. I mean, I didn't write all the songs that we did, and so, they got written in different keys that weren't comfortable for me, and at the time, it was really, really hard. I think now it pushed me a little bit, but some of it I just wasn't ready for, and so I don't think that I shined as well as I could have if I was singing songs in keys that were more for my voice and for what I was doing. So that's a good key thing. When you're writing songs, be flexible with your key choices. Just because you start off in one key doesn't mean that you have to push it and force it to happen. Pick a key that's going to work for you, that's going to highlight your voice or the voice of the person you're writing for. I mean, now in Waking Vegas, that's something that I have to be kind of conscious of with having another singer, because we all got to be able to sing this stuff, right? And we all got to be able to sound good, doing it. So, and it's not always easy, and it's a hard thing sometimes, and we kind of butt heads sometimes a little bit on it, even because, you write a riff or you write something that really can't be transposed or something sometimes. And so there's that little bit of a, one person needs it changed, the other person doesn't really want to change it. So you kind of go through that. So I had this real insecurity about that fact, because I knew that about the band, and I knew that I was not shining or sounding my best, especially in the early years of Antioch. It was really hard for me. Plus, I think as a band, we had a little bit of an insecurity too, because we all like different styles of music. And that's one thing that I enjoy about music. I enjoy all forms of music. I like everything from gospel, Southern gospel. I like R&B. I like rap. I like heavy metal. I like punk. I like everything in between. Classical music. It's all good to me. But we were a rock band, and that's kind of how we got dubbed, like I said, as being the rock band. I've got interviews that Antioch did where we were on the radio, and they would say, "Oh, well, you're the rock band that's going to be at the show tonight," because we played with all these. We played with a wide range of bands. I mean, we played with bands that were super heavy, screamo type of bands that. It's kind of weird that we were playing with them, but you know what? People liked us and enjoyed us, and we enjoyed them, and we supported other bands. And my friend Brian Hampton could probably testify to that. We played with all these different kinds of bands, and even though we may not have fit musically with their style or whatever, we got along with everybody. And by the end of the night, man, we were having fun and really enjoying what each other did. But the thing was we playing with all these different kinds of bands. We kind of had an insecurity as a band sometimes, because a lot of our fans and friends that were close to the band, they liked a lot heavier music too, okay? And even though we enjoyed it, it was like they would always tell us, you need to write something heavier, right? You need to be heavier. You need to be harder rock and heavier. And sometimes we didn't always write that. That's not what came out of us. And so there were several songs that we did where we tried to push it. We tried to force it. And because of our own insecurity, trying to make this heavier music or be something that maybe we just weren't at the time, we really tried to push it. And I think that came across, and people got that, that really wasn't us. And I think that's a good lesson to learn, that you got to be yourself as a musician, just as a person in your life. Be who you are. God created you to be you. Stop trying to force something else. Find your gift, your talent, your audience, and play to that. Write to that. That doesn't mean now that you don't push yourself and try to do other things, but understand where you are in your zone. Okay. So we had some songs like that. Well, this song in particular, it's not that the song was out of place. I was out of place because it was in the later years of Antioch, and I remember. I went through a time period. Now, if I say Eddie Vedder, or if I say Scott Stapp from Creed, you kind of get the kind of singer that those guys are, right? And so that was kind of a style that was kind of popular, back during that time. And you got these guys who sing and it sounds like their lower jaw's way out here, right? Right? Got that. So I tried experimenting with maybe pulling off something like that, right? Because I thought, maybe those guys, that's their voice. When they sing natural, that's just what comes out, right? It's not for me, but I thought, well, maybe those guys are faking it too, and they just got that kind of voice, and it's worked for them. Maybe I'll try it. And so when I wrote this song, instead of singing it on the recording that you'll hear later, instead of just singing it normal like Enosh Fee would sing it, Enosh sang it more like in that style that we just talked about. And my jaw was out, my tongue was up, and I had this, kind of sound to my voice. And so I recorded it that way. And now, looking back on it, it put me out of tune, I think, in a couple spots. And it wasn't me. It wasn't natural. And so when I sing the song for you today, I'm just going to be natural and just sing it for you, okay? But I say all that to say this. Don't try to force stuff that doesn't need to be forced. In this song, it's ironically called Chosen. And it's about the fact that God chooses us to do his work in this world. You have a destiny to do what God has called you to do. And so with this song, there's a line in the song that talks about Jonah. And it talks about you have a Jonah complex. You hear the word run the other way. You're kind of rebellious, kind of do the other thing, But you should be careful where you go next, because you could get swallowed up in that and miss what God has for you. And I find it ironic that whole time I was kind of trying to be something that I wasn't. And really the words to this song were speaking right to me. And then the bridge of this song talks straight out of the book of Esther, where it says, for such a time as this. Esther was told, you've come into the kingdom for such a time as this. She had a job to do to save her people. And God's called you and me in this last day to do his work. And we have a calling. Each and every one of us have a calling and talents and gifts that can be used for his glory. So I encourage you, whatever you're doing, if you're a musician, or maybe you just like music, you're watching the show, but there's talents and gifts that God's given you, man, exercise those gifts, okay? Exercise those talents. Be the person that God wants you to be. If you're a nurse, be the best nurse that you can be of your ability, and then ask God for that wisdom and that ability to go beyond, what you can even do. And that's what I ask God in my musicianship, in my songwriting, is just that God flow through me and speak through me what he wants to say. And so this song is called Chosen, and it just talks about all those kind of things, that you are chosen. He's been places that we wouldn't even want to go. Jesus has seen things that we would never want to see. And there's missionaries and people who go out on these things that, man, they're in places where we would never want to be there. But he said that he made us his hands and feet in this world. And the Bible says, how can they know unless a preacher be sent? So what are you doing this week to reach those around you with the gospel of Jesus Christ? Think about that, okay? All right, here's the song, Chosen. And here we go.
such a time as this. Such a time time as this. He's been places you don't want to be. He's seen things you don't want to see. He made you his hands and feet. You can't escape your destiny. He's been places you don't want to be. He's seen things you don't want to see. He made you his hands and feet. You can't escape your destiny. You're chosen. You're chosen.
And that's Chosen, ladies and gentlemen. It's a song that probably none of you have heard, really, from me anyways, because it's just never been a song that I've done in a band. So if you like that song, there is only one recording of that song, and you can get that by going to cdbaby.com/Enosh Fee. And once you go there, you will see a whole list of the songs that are here on the show, and Chosen will be one of them, okay? So let me know if you like the song. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode. Let me know maybe some of your insecurities, some of the things that you deal with as a musician. You know, I talk to people so many times, talented people who are just very talented. You know, we all have those little things, those little fears, those butterflies that we get, and those things that hold us back. Hey, let's be here for each other, okay? I'll be here for you, you be here for me. And if you do that, just write me this week, will you? You can either email me at enoshmusic@hotmail.com, or of course you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/This Is My Story, This Is My Song page. Or, of course, subscribe on YouTube at Enosh Fee. And that's all on your screen right now. Tell somebody about the show this week, will you? Let them know that I am here each and every week for you, or at least I try to be here each and every week, except for weeks like this last week when my in-laws came from out of town. But you know, stuff happens, life happens, okay? So, and I get emails from people who are like, where's the show this week? And I'm like, it's coming, man. So and there's another friend of mine who's been a viewer the week before, and she will let me know if the show has not been posted on Monday. But sometimes stuff happens, you know. But you can know that the show will be on its way. All right. So I hope to hear from you this week. I hope you enjoy the song here afterwards, the recorded version. And we'll see you again here on This Is My Story. This Is My Song. Bye-bye.
Rumble in the distance. I see you chosen.